All right, let's dive into what is basically a psychological cold case. It's a mystery that comes wrapped in 301 personal letters. Together, we're going to try to crack the code of one single, unique personality, and in doing so, answer a question that really affects every single one of us.
I mean, think about it for a second. The science of the mind, psychology, has spent more than 100 years trying to figure out what makes people in general tick. But what if, in that huge quest for universal laws, it's overlooked the one thing that truly matters, that intricate, one-of-a-kind pattern that makes you, well, you?
And yeah, that brings us right to this fundamental problem that one particular psychologist just couldn't ignore. For a very long time, the individual, the single person, was just getting lost in the statistical shuffle.
You see, the goal was always to find the big rules, right? The grand theories that apply to massive groups of people. We learned a ton about the quote-unquote average person, but almost nothing about a specific person. It was like a science of the entire forest that was completely forgetting how to see the individual trees.
But then, this psychologist, Gordon Allport, he came along and basically said, hold on a minute. He truly believed it was time for a revolution, a science dedicated not to the crowd, but to the single, complex, fascinating individual.
Okay, so to really get what Allport was proposing, we first need to understand the traditional way of doing things. This is what he called nomothetic science. Its entire mission, its whole reason for being, is to find those general laws, the big principles that govern human behavior on a grand scale. It's kind of the one-size-fits-all model of psychology.
So what was Allport's alternative? Morphogenic science. Now, the key word to hang on to here is patterned. See, he wasn't just interested in a bunch of random facts about a person. He wanted to understand the unique structure, the personal architecture of one single life.
So here's the difference in a nutshell. The old way, the nomothetic approach, studies the whole forest, looking for what all the trees have in common. Allport's way, the morphogenic approach, gets right up close and personal. It studies one single tree in all of its unique, intricate detail. And while both are valuable, one of them had been seriously neglected.
So how in the world do you study a single tree? Well, you look at its personal records. Allport argued that the absolute richest data comes directly from the source. We're talking diaries, letters, interviews, even things like doodles or the way a person walks. He believed that the answers were right there. We just needed to actually ask people and then listen, really listen to what they had to say.
But listen, a theory is just a theory until you can test it, right? And Allport found his ultimate test case in this incredible, raw, and deeply personal collection of letters written by a woman that he simply called Jenny. Now, Jenny's life was just marked by struggle and tragedy. I mean, from losing her father when she was young, to a marriage that was considered a scandal, to the early death of her husband, her whole world revolved around her son, Ross. But when Ross grew up, their super intense relationship started to fracture, which led her to pour out all of her feelings into 11 years of letters to his old college roommate and his wife.
And oh man, her letters, they reveal this raw, unfiltered intensity. Her relationship with Ross was this volatile mix of love and hate, of sacrifice and pure possessiveness. She saw any woman he dated as a rival. Get this, she even called them prostitutes for, in her mind, stealing him away. This wasn't just data. This was a human drama in 301 parts.
So with this incredibly rich, messy, human source of material, the scientific detective story begins. Here's the big question. Could different researchers, using totally different methods, all look at these same letters and find the same core personality?
So 3 different attacks were launched on the data. First, a guy named Alfred Baldwin used what's called a personal structure analysis. It's basically a computer-aided method to see which words and themes popped up together most often. Then, Jeffrey Page used factor analysis, which is a powerful statistical technique that boils down huge amounts of data to find the hidden patterns or factors. And finally, Allport used a really common-sense approach. He just gave the letters to 36 different people and asked them, hey, what's this woman like?
And this brings us to the moment of truth. If morphogenic science was for real, if it was actually valid, then these 3 wildly different methods should all land on the same answer. They should all find the exact same Jenny.
And the results? They were absolutely stunning. Just look at the overlap here. The computer analysis finds clusters around things like Ross, women, and self-sacrifice. The statistical analysis identifies possessiveness and aggression. And what do the human judges say? They pick out traits like quarrelsome, suspicious, self-centered, and aggressive.
You can practically draw a straight line between them. Page's martyrdom factor lines up perfectly with Allport's sentimental trait. It's the same person, just seen through 3 different lenses. Different paths, all leading to the exact same psychological portrait.
And you want to know the crucial number that came out of all this? 8. When you boil it all down, each of the 3 analyses, the computer, the statistics, and the human readers, they all independently landed on roughly 8 central traits. 8 foundational pillars that defined who Ginny was. The consistency was just incredible.
So the verdict was in. Allport had proven his point, big time. You can apply scientific rigor to a single life story and uncover a stable, verifiable personality structure. The individual was no longer lost. They were, in fact, a valid subject of scientific inquiry.
And that, of course, brings us right back to you. If researchers were to analyze your emails, your texts, your life story, what consistent themes do you think they'd find? What 8 core traits define the unique, patterned, and scientifically fascinating person that is you? Kinda makes you think, doesn't it?